All right. So hello to you there, and Mr. Israel, thanks very much for accepting to be our guest this Friday. Actually, we have this Zoom meeting every week, and the Zoom meetings are organized by La Diaspora Camerounais and AFTV5. AFTV5 is a non-profit video production organization, and La Diaspora is the biggest platform whereby we provide a channel for those in the diaspora to interfere in nation building. They have a say in contributing to their countries, to Cameroon, Nigeria, and all other African countries. So I'm Liz Ambibe, and I'm the PR and marketing representative for AFTV5. So today, I want to thank you all for taking out time from your busy schedules to being us this evening. While we're waiting for others to join, I would love you, Mr. Israel, to tell us a bit more about yourself, and then after that, we'll dive right into our topic of discussion for today.
Thank you so much. It's my privilege to be here. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to me, and I welcome every participant who are here today. Okay, my name is Israel Balogun. I am passionate about Africa, and I want to see Africa become one of the enviable continents on planet Earth before I die. And I'm so grateful to be here. Presently, I'm working to see a better Nigeria. I'm from Nigeria originally, and I'm working with several projects in different areas that I think will impact Africa mainly. I am the founder of Wholeness Africa Initiative. Wholeness Africa Initiative focus on re-engineering the mind of Africans in order to us to make them become responsible, responsive, and live to rebuild Africa by themselves. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks very much for that brief introduction. So today we're going to be talking about why Africa is still considered as the poorest continent in the world despite its rich resources. So we'll just dive right into our topic of discussion. Are you ready for the presentation, Mr. Israel?
Definitely, I'm ready.
All right, so right on, please.
All right. Thank you once again. As I just introduced myself, I will not take much of our time, and I want to welcome everybody. Mr. Samuel Yamdi, I can see somebody, Bia Lisa, Mercy, Robinson Kang. Yeah, I can see some people. Mercy, you are welcome, everybody. Okay, so let's go to it. Africa. Was Africa, and I want to believe that you can all hear me and then you can see me clearly. Is that correct?
Of course, of course.
Yes, you're on.
You're on.
Yes. Let's go back a little bit and understand who African is and what has happened to Africa. Was Africa ever rated as developed country, or was Africa ever rated as developing country? If you go back to history, there are records which shows that before the advent of colonial masters, Africa was leading the world. As a matter of fact, major tools that caused development in the world started with Africa. The philosophical knowledge upon which every scientific discovery, technology inventions are built today started from Africa. There were many philosophers in Africa. We can trace the life of Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, how they were in Africa learning philosophy. The origin of these great philosophers who have given us a lot of philosophical knowledge that has turned us to critical thinking, reasonings, we can trace their root back to somewhere in Africa where they have learned what thinking, reasoning is all about. When the colonial master came, authoritatively in the area of Nigeria, as I am aware of, they confirm that Benin City is in Nigeria. The Benin Kingdom has developed more than Germany as at the time they came to Nigeria. It was recorded that many cities in Africa, of course, who were not country at that time, but there were different communities of people, different tribes, different kingdoms everywhere. It was confirmed by the colonial masters that these kingdoms are well advanced in development. And when we speak of development, do not look at it from the perspective of technology. Do not look at it from the perspective of invention of vehicles or what have you. When we speak of development, we mean society that is structured with laws and order. Development, the society that respect environment, respect other people's life, and keep hygiene society. We also mean society that is in continuous discovery and research. That is what we mean by development. And when the colonial master came, these are very much available features that they could see now in most kingdoms in Africa. May I also say to you that before the coming of Africa of colonial masters, we have our weapons. We also have war. We fight our war. We have agriculture, and we feed ourselves. We produce our food. We take care of our own health issues. As a matter of fact, there were advanced discovery of these things in Africa. Though they may not be packaged as a capsules or they are put in this or that, but they was just what it is. What happened? What really happened to us? At what point did our development stop? Research also showed that at a point when knowledge left Africa, it was taken to Greece. When it got to Greek, knowledge left Greek, it came to Europe. When knowledge left Europe, it got to America, and now it's coming back to China. But the fact is, it came from Africa. Africa lost our growth. Then every country, every nation, every continent was growing. The discovery was coming up. Africa was also discovering was also inventing our own technologies. At that point in time, we have inventions. In my own country, if I ask many people here that should tell me their own inventions, many of them will have something to say. For example, many will say something about how Africa was able to construct its own houses. It was an invention. No matter what it was an invention. If I ask you, tell me about your whole agricultural system of those days, you'll be able to tell me the inventions of your agricultural system. But I remember so vividly in my own culture, or I read about it clearly, how our forefathers was able to deal with animals who are eating their crops. These animals were not killed with guns, they were not killed with any other thing. They wholly have their urine, put it in a bowl for 3 days, spread it on their crops, and any animal that eats it will slip off. It was an invention. We wholly have our communal system of working together. There were philosophers in Africa before the coming of the colonial masters. So what happened to us? Let me take us forward. When colonial master came, they did not mean zombies the way it was presented to us. They didn't mean zombies. They meant people who resiliently did not allow them to be taken as a slave. Africa could not be conquered when they came. And that was why you read about it, that many countries that became a country today, they were actually governed through indirect means. Because they came first with direct means of colonization, and Africa resisted them. Then they came back with another method, and that method happened to be indirect means. Therefore, they have to go through the leaders that we already know, and through them, they were colonizing us. I want to get the feedback. I hope you are hearing me, please.
Yeah, we are hearing you.
We are getting you well.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Samuel. So they have to go back and re-strategize and say, okay, look, we cannot get these people through our direct means. There is need for us now to come back in another method. And when they came back with very powerful tool that has relent and have stayed with Africa till today: religion. They brought religion to subdue the mind of Africans, to present themselves as God representatives, and to make Africa welcome them and accept them in order for them to become Lord over us. They did not only come with religion, they came with pretending education. The pretending education, therefore, was to only make us learn. Mercy, you mind noting yourself? Okay, thank you. The pretending education, therefore, was to only make us learn their language, make us to learn their language, make us to write for them, make us to communicate with them. And so, with that, they were able to penetrate us. Thirdly, they align with our leaders. There is a culture in my home country, Nigeria, right now. We call it masquerade. We call it masquerade. Many people do not know the origin of that culture. This was a culture that was invented when the leader needed to kidnap their own children and sell it to the slave masters. There was nothing like masquerade. Masquerade was invented by the greedy leaders who turned their back against their own people, who were only giving mirror and swords. When they give them mirror and swords, they will go and kidnap their own children. So they invented masquerade. They told the people that God is coming to visit us. And when you hear masquerade, they call it someone from heaven. In my home culture, it is called, I don't know whether you are familiar with masquerade in your place, but when you hear masquerade, they will say it is somebody who came from heaven. And so when the person who came from heaven appeared, nobody should come out, nobody should be found outside. If you are being found outside, you will be kidnapped, you will get lost. And so they were using that to kidnap people and selling it to the colonial masters. That was how the whole thing began. Our development stopped along the line. Along the line, we were not able to move further. Therefore, we were told that heaven should be our focus. We were told that we should not bother ourselves making this place a better place, but there is a place in heaven for us to live in. Many things happen to us. Our own culture, our own traditions, our own philosophy, our own findings, our own discoveries became something that nobody should be proud of. You cannot be proud of your culture. You cannot be proud of your own traditions, because they were termed witchcraft, they were termed wickedness, they were termed satanic. Then I ask a question. What could be more satanic than you taking a man, a human being, and you ferrying them to your home continent and making them to work on your plants from morning to night without any reward? What could be more wicked than that? But our whole discovery was termed witchcraft, because before the coming of the colonial masters, we are able to also work on so many things. Example, Africa was able to have its own telecommunication system. In my culture, they can send you a message and nobody will be able to understand it except you that is sent to. We have diverse technology that we have also found at the point when we were not, before we are getting colonized. Somebody will say, "Oh no, what do you mean by science? Are you talking about juju, or we are talking about witchcraft?" No. I am talking about science. Because I say science because how do you explain to me that I am sitting down here in India, somebody is in Cameroon right now hearing me, and if I'm looking behind the technology that is promoting, that is transmitting this system to me, there are code. These code are never human language. They are code, they call it technology code, right? This is science. Africa has the same thing. But that of Africa was never worked on by some of us who have come to understand physics, chemistry. We did not work on it. We dropped them because they was called witchcraft. And so we say, this is witchcraft. So we never work on them to see how can I explain this using the knowledge of physics? How can I explain the discovery of my father using it? Because if it remained in that state of psychologists, philosophy call it menteta. I forgot the full name now. If we remain in that state of spiritisms, we will not be able to explain it to anyone and make them to believe it. Europeans, Americans, somebody saying I'm not able to hear anything since I joined in. What might be the problem? Maybe you have not joined with your voice. Somebody can respond to this person who said he has not been able to hear anything. And then Rose, can you hear me? Please let me just be sure people are hearing me. Mercy, if you can hear me, say something.
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me. Elisa, can you hear me?
I can hear you well. I'm sure the people who are unable to hear is because they haven't activated their mics yet. Some of them don't just know how to do it. So
good. So what do? We went ahead and said, look, our whole thing, everything about us is bad. So we take them and throw them away. Never did we take and say, look, what exactly is this? How can I explain it using chemistry to explain this? How can I explain this using physics? What is the physics, what is physiological knowledge behind this technology of my fathers? Africa stopped growing at that point. Africa stopped growing when Africa began to push our responsibility to a defined God. Africa stopped growing when Africa refused to realize that everything she needs is already given to her. Africa stopped growing when Africa started to look up to God for solution that He is supposed to solve. Our own development today is no longer the responsibility of the colonial masters. I do see it everywhere. Despite the fact that I know the damage and the wickedness they have done to Africans. But how else can I explain to my daughter that I am 60 years old? I am more than 60 years old today. I cannot really define who I am. For instance, I'm speaking on behalf of Nigeria. Nigeria has gotten independent over 60 years ago. Why would Nigeria still be claiming that colonial masters are a problem? I'm not doubting the damage they've done to us. But I'm saying it's no longer an excuse to say they are the problem, because more than 60 years you have been given independent to make your own law. You have been given independent to decide what you want. If by now you are unable to define who you are, explain who you are, what you intend to be, and define yourself in a character, it means you are supposed to look inward. Then what came up? What happened to Africa? Africa is backward in the world today, not because Africa does not have human capacity. I mean the population. Of course, we have one of the largest population on planet Earth. I think maybe Asia is leading, then Africa. It's not because Africa does not have energetic people. Africa still has the largest youth age in the world. This is a productive age. Why is Africa backward? It's not because Africa does not have knowledgeable. Why then is Africa backward? Africa has refused to do these certain things. One, Africa has refused to define herself. Who am I? That's the question Africa have never sit down and say, look guys, who are we? What is our role on planet Earth? Because if Africa look truly into what our role is on planet Earth, Africa does not have any reason to compete with the rest of the world. Rather, the rest of the world need Africa to survive. Everybody has their role. But have you not noticed that 80% of natural or mineral resources or natural resources needed to develop the earth, the world, is coming from Africa? Why is Africa not exploring the opportunity of maybe the one producing the uraniums needed for them to grow or to produce their weapons? Why is Africa not look at the opportunity it has? And Duku, please, can you mute yourself? Admit, can you mute him, please? Good. So Africa need to define herself. Africa need to come to a point where she is able to say, this is who I am. Africa need at this point also to come to a time and understand that nation grows only when people see service as better than favor. Work better than favor. Labor better than favor. When Africa comes to that point and put honor on labor than favor. And what does that mean? You will see the rate in which Africa runs from one country to another, seeking donors to come to their aid. It's a culture, it's a wrong culture that makes Africa believe that anything they want, they should get it on platter of favor. Until Africa comes to that point where we teach such a value in our society, where people embrace labor more than favor, where you cannot get anything for free. Until Africa comes to a point where no one gets anything for free. Whatever you get, you must have worked for it. Where we come to a point when nations who go around seeking for donations, seeking for aid, seeking for grants from other nations, taking loans on behalf, at detriment of their sovereignties, when we come to a point and say, look, is it that we grow our country, our continent, or we remain poor forever? What did China did? In the point when China was one of the wretched country on planet Earth, how did China came out of that mess? That today I can tell you right now, if you look around you, there's China products around you. If it is not your phone, it will be your shoe. If it's not your shoe, it will be your phone case. It's not phone case, it's your phone screen. If you go to your kitchen, China. If you go to your driving park, China. How did they get there? There was a time in China when they could not even afford to feed themselves. They were growing rapidly, but there was not any productions happening to them. What did they do? China cut herself away from the rest of the world. And they told themselves, we'd rather die here as a country, or we grow what we eat and feed the whole world. After 10 years of that decisions, China came back as one of the top economic of the world. Of course, they have their problem. They have their own problem in terms of restrictions of freedom and stuff like that. But I'm looking at development that happens and the decision they took. Africa today has refused to say to herself, why do you have kids that you cannot feed? Why do you have any that you cannot motivate them to build your country? Many of us keep on saying, bad leaders, bad leaders, bad leaders. I agree. Nations are built on leadership. Leadership is key to everything. But may I ask you one question? Do you know every leader that is governing Africa today came from Africa? Have you ever seen a China coming to govern Africa? Did you elect an Americans to govern Africa? Did you elect an Europeans? People who govern every country, they came from the country. And have you also noticed that anytime we carry out election, we choose another leader, we are like electing the same kind of people. And some of us that are making noise today are saying, our leaders are bad. We were like those leaders we are electing because there was a time those leaders are also making noise. And so when they get to the power, what did they do? That is suggesting that it is not leadership that is the problem, but our value system. The value of Africa has been jeopardized, has been destroyed. And see, when you destroy a nation, if you want to destroy a nation, do not bother yourself about taking money away from them. Don't bother to destroy their road. Don't bother to destroy their water. Do not bother to even send them a bomb. Don't bomb them. The greatest way to destroy people is to destroy their value. Destroy their basic values of life, such as values of service. When I say service, I mean serving order, making you feel comfortable than you be served. When you destroy their value systems, they will be the one that will destroy the road by themselves. Destroy the value of law and order. Make them to disobey the law. See law as their enemy. If you destroy such value, don't bother yourself. They will kill themselves. If you want to destroy a nation, don't bother throw a bomb. This is the lasting way of destroying a nation. Make them cherish favor more than labor. When you want to destroy a nation, destroy their values. And Africa has been successfully destroyed. Our value has been successfully destroyed. We have a well-grown man here, Mr. Samuel. He will be able to tell us maybe when he was growing up. I don't know what it was in his own country, but I could say, I remember vividly that there was a time in my country that if police simply come to your house, because police visit your house, you may likely not get a woman to marry in your community again. Because then, names of your family is more important than the car you drive, than the clothes you wear, than the house you live. People put value on keeping the integrity and honor of their family than keeping their names. I mean, they are keeping their job, they are keeping buying cars. Today, what is it in our society? Parents call on their children to make sure that they all go out and make money by all means. And so we have, our value system has been replaced. Values of integrity, honor, truth has been replaced with the value of money making. And so whoever made the money is respected in society. Whoever made the money is given honor to. Whoever made the money is the one that we cherish. But it was not so. There was a time in this country, in this continent, that who we honor is that person that is able to stand for truth. That person that respects law and order. He may not even have money. He may be the wretched man in this community. I remember the principals of those days. They don't have money, but they are the most respected people because they will allow you to carry out examination and practice in their school. Africa is not backward because we don't have able men. That is where I'm driving you to. We are not backward because we cannot learn. We don't have brain. We are not backward because we are black. We are backward because our values have been destroyed. That is a quote that I'm very familiar and I love to quote every time. The wealth of a nation is not in the volume of their numbers. It's not in the volumes of their currency. But the wealth of the nation is in the wealth of their value. If the value of a nation or a continent is destroyed, there's nothing you can change, and there's no way you can keep on changing your political leader. Elect any one of them. If you don't fix the value of your country will remain backward. There is a fundamental problem with our values. And if you look at Africa in line with religion, you will discover that Africa is leading whenever it comes to religion aspect. When they rate the biggest auditorium in the world, at least it came from my country. When they say the largest single gathering in the world, at least it's coming from Nigeria. When you are calling for the richest pastor in the world, they are coming from my country. Africa is rated good, on the top when it comes to religion. But connect that to when you are rating the most corrupt nations in the world, Africa is also topping the charts. What is the problem? Religion is supposed to make us be at the bottom of the chart when it comes to negative. Why is it that we are now at the top chart when it even comes to negative? Religion on this side, most religious nations, everything you want to talk about religion, we have it. But that is on this side. When it comes to the chart of the negative, the most unsecure country to live on planet Earth is coming from Africa. Yes, the year where Nigeria was rated second most religious country in the world, the same year Nigeria was rated second most corrupt country in the world. What is the correlation? The correlation is therefore negative. Because if it is positive, the more religious, the more less corrupt. But right there, we are becoming more religious, we are becoming more corrupt. Africa was rated the most prayerful people in the world. But Africa has the largest unemployed youth in the world. Africa was rated the most powerful, most people that pay tithes in the world. Africa at the same time was rated one of the continents that has the largest people that live below poverty line. There the point remains that religion has not done any good done to destroy us. What does religion do to us? When I mention religion, not, let me clarify that. I'm talking about the religion that makes us not to know God himself. I believe in God. But religion that we have heard onto, so that have been sold to us, is come from a religion of people who are deliberate in brainwashing us and making us to remain in perpetual slaves. I also want to say before I close that if Africa desire to fix our nation today, if Africa desire to fix our continent today, Africa should stop running after message.
Hello, Mr. Israel.
Sorry, I think I lost my. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
If Africa desires to see our nation restored back, Africa should forget about you campaigning to say, I will give you road, I will give you water, I will give you this and that. Those are not fundamental principles of fixing a nation or making a nation a developed nation. I will tell you, when Europe, after Second World War, that Europe need to rebuild Europe, they didn't start building road. They didn't start building road. They didn't start giving themselves electricity. You know what they did? They went down to incite into their people right values. They write down, they begin to teach their people value of labor. In Germany then, after the war, the Germans were becoming drug addicts. Men were seen to wake up every morning, drink to stupor. People were lazing about. There was a movement called the Protestant movement. It was this movement that led to transformation of Europe. They did not ask them to go and give themselves a road, but they were teaching them about what it means to serve. Service, labor. They were letting people realize that the more you serve, the more you please God. So people are serving more because they want to please God. And for that, the nation was growing. When they fixed the fundamental principles, which is the value system. The value system of Africa has collapsed. We were once upon a time leading continent because we have the right value. In those days when you can put your product outside and go in and anybody who picked that product will put the money back there. Somebody want to say, does it happen to anyone in the country again? Yeah, there are still countries in Europe where people go to dairies, where people go to milk center. They want to buy milk, they will enter the place, they will take their milk, they will drop the money, and they will leave. I am in a country right now in that state. If they tell you the price is this, that is the price. I was coming with African mentality thinking they want to cheat me. So when they say this is the amount, I say, no. He said, no cheating, no cheating. That is the price. Because this is a people who are contented. They place value on their words. They value truths more than words. But we gather to hail people who have lied to one able woman or one able man, and we call them champion in our society today. We honor them for duping people and making money. See, build the biggest school in Africa today. Build the biggest school for everybody. Make the education free for everybody. If you don't fix your value system, you will remain backward. Today, Africa has gotten the highest grants in the whole world. No one has ever gotten the grant that Africa has gotten towards development, towards solving problems. But what has happened to Africa? Africa still remains a nation that dwell on debts. Value system. Let me also give you another instance. If Africa will be given chance today to make a choice between the money they will get and the knowledge they will transfer to them. Africans would rather go for the money because our value system is no longer what it matters. We need to fix our value system. If we fix our value system, the people will rise up and fix the continents. If you fix our value system, people by themselves, they will rebuild the continent. And how do you fix this value system? It's very simple. We need people who are going to dedicate themselves towards ensuring that these major three things become the pillar upon which our country, our nations are built. We must fix the value of love. And I tell you, these things are the three things that is building Europe. If you look through Europe today, there's the value of love. They may not call it to you as love, like love. No, in Africa, we love saying, I love you. Oh, I love you, my brother. Oh, my brother, I love you. We'll be saying that to you, and we are destroying you. But they don't tell you they love you. They may even tell you, fuck off. You fuck off. But there is a system that is a system of love. That system values life more than anything. The system of love places value on lives. Respect, honor, and integrity is given to any human being. That's a system we need to build. We need to build a system that allows us to give honor to people. A system that is produced in Germany today, when you get to Germany, when you get to Canada, you cannot sleep outside. Your children cannot be stranded and not going to school. You know what is the mystery behind it? It's a system of system of love. They did not call it I love you, but they turn it into a fundamental value that no child will be left behind. It's difficult for you to go hunger because the government is preparing something for you to make sure you eat. And these are the basic needs of life. Excuse me. The system that I'm talking about is a system that addresses basic needs of life: water, electricity, security, food, shelter, clothing. These are the secret behind the European system. They translate their love into providing, because if these things are met, there's possibility for you not to live a difficult life. If you needed to get more, you want to live in mansions, then you need to work harder. But you can have access to a room, at least a room where you can put your head. If it's just a bed space, you can have access to it. That reduces it all. Today, Africa has thousands of children on the streets who does not have a shelter. And Africa has billions of naira being embezzled by one man because there is no system of love. How do you ensure system of love in a society? You must establish a system of justice. If you want to have a system of love, which is the primary system that every nation must build. This system, I just have to paraphrase it, because if I need to go down to every stems of life, I can explain to you how Europeans, Americans are using this system to develop their countries, and they are building it into their every spheres of their life, which is 7 spheres. 7 spheres must be built on a system of love. The second system that this love is resting. Let me give you the picture. This is how Europeans are building their country. Okay, so this is a book, right? It has something that is holding it this side, and it has one this side. This is the major one. This book is the major one, but this book cannot survive except it has these 2 arms holding it. And the arms is justice and truth. So they made this system of love to rest on justice. In other words, every one of us who refuses to live by this system of law shall be taken through the justice system. The justice system itself is weak without the system of truths. Because nation with justice will live in peace. Nation with justice will live in progress. But justice is solely relying on truths. And these three factors became the basic upon which value system of a society is built. When you build this value system in your people, develop it so much that these people are. Now, let me tell you, many children will grow up in this part of the world. I'm giving you Singapore as an example. Singapore is a very good example for us, all right? If you have read about Singapore very well, you will know they were poor. There was once upon a time they were a poor nation. How did they become one of the greatest countries today? Because of these three principles I just gave. Truth is unnegotiable principle in Singapore. You cannot negotiate it. As a matter of fact, they have a school, they call it School of Character. In this school, you must learn to live on this basic of truth, basic of justice, basic of law. Now, let me tell you, they did not call it value of truth, no. They don't call it value of character of justice. They don't call it value of law. But this is the value, because they teach their children to defend their nations, to love their life, to love other people's life, to respect lives, to place high value on human and lives. They teach them to stand for truths. If you can speak truths, you receive honor. There is honor in saying, in standing for the truths. This is the value that built Singapore. If you go back to history of Singapore, when they got their independence, they have nothing. As a matter of fact, in their story, whenever two brothers want to go out, they only have one trouser. One will stay at home, you go out with one trouser, you come back, you give it a trouser, and I will go out. That was how poor they were. They have no land. There was no land for them to cultivate or to plant. But one thing they could do with, they can build on, is to build on truths. I forgot the name of this country now that produces watch. What's the name now? It's an European country, they produce watch. I forgot their name now. Okay, if I remember, I will let you know. So this country came up and said, look, our highest product will be truth. We don't have crude oil, but we are going to produce truth. Truth became a product of a nation. Truth became a product of a nation. So much that all the money stolen in Africa, records show that 85% of them end up in the bank of this country. Why are Africans taking the money? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you.
Abiri Tata said he cannot hear me.
Yeah, he doesn't have a microphone.
So much that everyone who steals money in Africa, 85% of the money end up in that country. What is the reason? You steal from here, but because they are so truthful, you cannot trust any other person with the money you stole than trusting it with the people that stand for truth. And what that country makes from financial system is more than the, don't let me give a figure, I'm not sure now, but it's more than 50% of total income of Africa or something. I'm not sure. Very small country. They become so wealthy. And what are they selling? Truth. Truth. So what does Africa need to grow? Africa needs to rebuild our value system. And this value system can be grouped into value of love, value of justice, value of truth. How can African achieve this value system if they want to do it? African therefore need to look inward and begin to build institutions. Institutions with personalities, men who will become leaders in their sphere. It's not for us to give too much power and responsibility to political leaders. They have their role to play, but Africa need more leaders in different spheres. If you are building educational institutions, we build it with personalities who will take responsibility for the education of the country. And he or she will be willing to transform that education that can compete with any kind of education in the world. We need to build institutions. Institutions become the fundamental principles upon which values are disseminated. America did one thing when they are growing. America started building institutions that will end up to build the people. America they were deliberate about what their children will watch on TV. There was a time the kind of video they produce, they are producing the video that even teach them how to wear jackets, how to greet the woman, how to eat. They were deliberate in inculcating their value system into them. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe I have been able to explain to us how and what I believe is the basic roots behind our own development today. And I'm open to questions before we continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Israel. That was a very powerful presentation there. And at this point, I'm going to open the floor. If there are any questions or any contributions, then they are all welcome right now. Mr. Samuel, sir, do you have any contribution? Do you have any question?
Well, but I'm grateful for the conversation and look forward to next week.
All right, Mr. Samuel, thank you very much for that contribution. And like you said the last time when we had a meeting on our education system, the African education system, I think for Africa to really break through the chain of poverty, unemployment, and step on their development process, they really need to cut off ties with their colonial masters and really think for themselves. People don't have to think for Africa. The Western world don't have to think for Africa. And as Mr. Israel rightly said, we have the potentials, we have the resources, we have the mind, we have the brain. So we just need to sit down and do things the right way. We need to do things the way they ought to be and stop depending on the Western world for what ideas they have so far. Whereas to think that these ideas they have or this knowledge they have came from Africa so far. So it's something that really needs to be put into consideration. Africa really needs to start thinking on its own and let go, break off these chains with their colonial masters and be free at last. How can you call yourself, how can you say you're independent whereas your colonial masters still have 90% of influence in your country? It's not done. So once we start doing things for ourselves, I think Africa will be a better continent. Thank you very much, Mr. Israel, for accepting to be a guest. And we are honored with the presence of Mina Crochet. Mina is a young entrepreneur, and we also had Good Mercy. We had a lot of guests today, and I hope to see them all next week on our Zoom meeting. If there are no other questions, no contributions, then I would love to close the meeting. All right. I'm sorry my mic was muted. So thank you all for joining us today. See you all next week, Friday. I'm looking forward to see you all because without you, we'll not be here. And with you all, you're our strength, our motivation, and all what have you. So for now, we'll be bye. Bye, Mr. Samuel.